All right, gang, welcome back. And man,
I'm pumped up.
I'm glad we played them in the order we did because they are so totally different, these two films, but we needed a little injection, I think, there at the end.
Oh yeah. We need a little bit of Dave Matthews. So
We'll get to your top three there in a minute, genius. So we're going to start things off by talking about the first film that we watched, and that is Adam Green's Digging Up the Marrow. Now, I need to ask you, genius, would you remember the first experience with the Marrow?
I was in your basement.
Oh, man. Okay. Context, folks. Context.
I was right. I was in your basement and we were watching it. You're like, "Hey, check this movie out," and I'm like, "Okay." And I remember like just being enthralled and engrossed, and I remember screaming when Chicken came out. I remember like, "Whoa!" Right, and just legs up in the air, and yeah.
I remembered it was coming, and I still, legs go up when Chicken is in the vicinity there.
Such a cool premise of a movie, such a cool execution of it, and such a different spin on what you're normally used to seeing Adam Green do.
Yeah, well, and I guess ultimately, before even talking about Digging Up the Marrow with Adam Green, I'm not going to say an interesting relationship with him, but I came to the films of Adam Green and Joe Lynch from the Movie Crypt.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's what I was familiar with initially, and then kind of backward engineered. But Digging Up the Marrow, the first time I saw it as well was in the basement. As again, it's just, and actually with this film, that's kind of perfect for the most part.
Right. There's no such thing as the basement. Just like that's the last video you see of me. It's like me and Greg are like in the basement, like, bro.
I believe they had that over for Panic Fest at one point.
That's right. In the arms of the angels.
Change it to the In the Arms of a Monster.
There you go.
It totally works.
In the arms of the Marrow.
But ultimately, where this film comes from is very interesting because it is built off of Adam Green's relationship with his fans. What happened was someone sent a letter, an old-fashioned handwritten letter, talking about how Victor Crowley
was true story and how he fucked up the whole legend and all the stories. And he goes, "I got proof. Here, come over here with me and I'll show you." I'm with Adam Green. I wouldn't fucking go. Like, if I made up this story about a killer, like, repeater ghost monster that lives in the swamp. First of all, I wouldn't go in the swamp in the first place.
Very true.
Okay?
Stay on brand.
And second of all, like, hey, come on down. I know where the killer lives, and I can tell you the true killer story. Like, you're probably the killer. I've been watching a lot of SVU in this quarantine, and I can, like, yeah, I don't trust nobody any now. So, not even a fan, like, "Hey, come on down." It could be like fucking Matilda May. "Come on down and come to the swamp with me." No, I'm cool.
Deal breaker?
Deal breaker.
That's fair.
Yeah, come on down to the swamp where the grisly murders have happened. Yeah, no.
If any of you know anything about Geniuses, he does live his life by horror, like a horror film. Not even so much like the Randy rules from Scream, but ultimately,
there's evil shit out there and it's going to get me.
And if you don't put yourself in there,
right,
it won't get you.
I don't view horror movies as horror movies. I view them as like instructional videos.
That's totally fair. But would it be fair to say that you are a fan of monsters?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm with Adam Green. I want monsters to be real. I want there to be like, oh, there are real monsters. There are like vampires and werewolves or like creatures or something that we don't know. I think that's part of like my DNA. I think the world is too big for us to be just it. I think that like even back in the day there was stories of monsters and all things like that has contributed so much that there has to be a negative truth in there. And that's what I'm hoping for. Now, do I want to run into some monsters? No. Do I want to go down the dark alley and fucking Jerry Dandridge is coming up waiting for me? No. But like to know that there are that'd be cool.
That's you want to have your cake and eat it too, my friend. And
I do.
I don't know if you can do that, especially in this world. But I will say what I loved about revisiting this film is kind of given in the quarantine that we're in, all that going on. And I'll be honest, any scene now where it's people gathering, it's so warm. But this film opens up with a lot of convention footage.
I missed it. I miss the conventions. I miss the horror cons and going out and meeting like-minded individuals and like talking about horror and talking shop basically.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I loved about the first beginning of it. I think that's a good look into like normies into the world of horror cons, and that people realize that horror fans are not the monsters that they like. They're actually people who can relate to some, but also just enjoy the phantasmagorical aspect of nature. And that's what I like, where he highlights that. He goes, everybody here loves monsters. And I think that's why we all gather as horror fans, you know?
Well, you said the film is partially a love letter to monsters and a love letter to people that love the monsters. You know, whether or not you are really into everything for the most part. I would actually even argue, how do you explain this movie to a normie?
Ooh.
Since you mentioned the normies.
I would definitely say a mockumentary.
Okay.
It's a mockumentary about monsters. But see, that also like Troll Hunter? No, not really. Not really. It's there's a story, like a big, intimate, almost tragic story on multiple levels.
Yes. Oh yeah, no, that's what I really love with the film is just straightforward. The movie itself, it totally works for me. If you know about not even behind the scenes, but things that are going on, it works for me. I'll tell you what works for me, and the reason why I love coming back to this film. 2 words.
Ray Wise.
Oh, Ray friggin' Wise.
When he's telling the story about when he first saw monsters and he's explaining, he goes, I can see it so vividly. And he's got that 50-yard stare, and then he's like, where am I? Just
chills.
every
chills.
word.
It is.
When he's doing those like talking head interviews, and I'm just fixated on every word, and especially when you have the
It's a great song. What's the name of it?
I don't know. It's my favorite song. You know, it's just like it's his favorite song he doesn't know, but and he's just sitting there talking about, and then it's weird because you're up with him to a point, and he goes, they have relationships, they have friendships, they just want to be left alone. Some are good, some are bad.
You're being very vague with your theys and thems. Who are they and them?
The monsters. He's talking about he's talking like Midian is real. And like,
yes.
The fact that nugget right there, I've always wanted to know that there's monsters. Like the whole concept of the Marrow, of the Midian is fascinating on so many levels. I love this movie.
You said Nightbreed. Ray Wise's character is named Decker. Now listen, and that's immediate.
He's the scariest fucking thing in both movies, dude.
Yes. Well, it's really funny. Apparently, Adam totally did not even think about that connection because the digging up the Marrow part is also equally inspired from this gentleman's artwork, Alex Pardee.
And his shit is grand.
It's unfreaking real.
So cool.
Now, I was lucky enough. I had a chance 10 years ago. I went to the San Diego Comic-Con, and that's where I was introduced to his artwork. I was actually somewhat familiar with it, and of course, he had a booth there. Super approachable, super nice. Bought a lot of prints from him, and ultimately, a number of these wonderful little caricatures that he did, stick figures.
Oh shit!
Bringing down the house.
See, that's why I'm not allowed to have nice things.
That is right. But he is, first and foremost, a horror fan. And that's where I think the genuine love comes from all of this movie in and of itself.
Yeah. Again, the love of the monsters. You know, because like even Adam Green says, didn't you want to see monsters real? You know, and like some of the interviewers earlier, like Tony got the monsters were my friends.
Yes.
You know, and if you think about it, a lot of the characters in Monsterhood are kind of tragic figures. You know, I mean, like let's go back to even Victor Crowley. You know, he just wants to be left alone as everybody else is going to the swamp, fucking up and like getting killed. You know. And he died a tragic, horrible death. You know, no fault of his own and because of a curse. So it's like.
You could, it shows in all of Adam's work for the most part that there is that sympathetic side for the monsters. There is that part of you that's always going to kind of root for him because let's face it, we've all been in this scenario where we're the monsters.
I've been called monster numerous times.
3 times today, I think, correct? Yeah. That's why you can't go around that school anymore. But I want to go.
Jesus.
I want to go back to Ray Wise though as Decker because you talked about the humanity and the gravitas that he gives.
Yeah.
And just like every story that he tells, I'm on the edge of my seat.
Yeah, just transfixed.
And what I love the fact that with Ray Wise is you get a guy that has been in some of the great genre films of our time, Twin Peaks, first and foremost.
RoboCop.
His reaction in RoboCop.
Yeah.
When Emil comes up to him all melting.
Help me.
And his hair in that film.
Just wonderful coif.
It's got it's next level coiffed. But he is one of those actors that you throw him in anything and he elevates it.
Mm-hmm.
And with this film, when he shows up, the whole film itself, it's such a weird movie. This is why I like it so much. If I were to rank some of my Adam Green films, it would definitely Frozen, I think, goes at the top for me.
Mm-hmm.
But then I think Digging Up the Marrow is my second, beyond even like Hatchet, Spiral, or any of those. And I think it's because this movie is a mockumentary.
Yeah.
It is partly found footage. It is a monster movie. It is a film about relationships. There is so many different things. It's versatile. It just shows you kind of the strength of Green as a filmmaker for the most part.
Absolutely. And like I said, this is a departure from all of his other movies. Like Frozen was it's a single not a single shot, but one setting.
Very much
for
a
the most
bottle
part.
kind of thing.
Hatchet, the whole series is a wonderful homage to 80s slashers.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have something like this. That's a mockumentary. And like if he didn't have Ray Wise, if he casted an unknown, I would think that's 100% real.
I think that's probably the good thing why he
Yeah,
was able to
yeah,
do that.
yeah.
Because otherwise,
The Marrow's fucking real, and I'm just going around looking for the Marrow, and like I think I found it. I ain't going near it, but I think I found it. So
go back to 1999 when I, for a nanosecond, gave credence that the Blair Witch Project might be true. Anyone beyond Ray Wise, yeah, like you said, I am freaking out because it could be real.
yeah,
But he does ground the film. He gives it the gravitas, and Adam Green and Will Barrett playing themselves in the movie, heightened douchey levels for the most part, which I appreciate because you can tell like when you're playing a character like that, it's kind of fun just to be.
and a wonderful cameo by the best hair in Hollywood, horror Hollywood.
When Mick Garris showed up, and,
Like, what's Mick Garris?
and Tom Holland
right?
as well.
Right, exactly. Like, what was them? And then, yeah, just he comes up like, oh, don't fucking use this footage, and then it just blurs his face.
Well, that also leads into eventually the narrative behind the film where we find Decker may or may not be crazy. He may or may not be inventing these things. He may just be befriending homeless people in a hole for all we know.
There's always so much mystery around this movie because none of the answers are given.
No.
And I love that about it.
Even when they get a monster on film, which
Multiple times.
multiple times.
I don't know if a lot of you seen it because I think I missed it my first time. But when him and the editor are talking,
Josh Ethier in the background.
yeah, and then and then you just see the tombstone thing get up and then move. I was just like, whoa, oh shit, there's a monster. It's the kind of movie that you're looking in every frame, and I like that about it.
You explore everything that's in there.
Because when he goes, can't you see it? Can't you see it? I was like looking in the dark,
I'm
looking
pausing,
for something.
I'm trying to turn
like,
up the light
right,
on everything.
like checking the brightness and the contrast and the pixels, just to like.
Well, this film, I think, works as a horror movie for me for a couple of reasons. Number one, the sense of dread that is created, because again, is it real, is it not? But also, and horror movies are built on these, there are some phenomenal jump scares in this movie.
Yes.
That first one that we're talking about.
Yes, the big-headed light bulb one. I was like, holy shit. But the great about it is that nobody believes it. Even his own crew and his own, like, when Kane Hodder just busts in the door, what's going on, guys? You know, that gave me a tickle. But he goes, that's really cool. What's this for? It's like, no, it's real. It's real. He goes, okay, sure.
Yeah, no, who did it? Who did this? Who did the effects, right?
Mm-hmm.
Greg Aronowitz was the sculptor of the monsters.
Amazing.
Crazy good.
Amazing.
And what works for me is the fact that you only see the monster for a brief second.
Yeah.
And in fact, when they're showing it when they're going through and showing Kane, you only see his reactions.
Yeah.
You don't see him looking at you don't actually see footage of it. It works so well.
For a movie about a civilization filled with monsters, there's only about 2 minutes where you actually see monsters.
This is very true.
Through the whole entire, I mean, even if you put all the scenes of monsters together,
it may not even be 2 minutes.
not even 2 minutes, because not even a second with the big head.
Yep.
Chicken is only about a second. Chicken scare. That chicken scare still gives me the heebiest of jeebies. I'm watching it with you guys, and I'm over here like, it's fucking coming. It's fucking coming, right? I knew it, because scurry is scary. That's just a natural fact.
There are simple formulas in life, and that one is one of the simplest.
It's so scary, because this is a Slimer on 2 legs coming at your legs. You're like, holy shit, what is that? Because that's the great thing I like about this movie. Alex Pardee's work is so whimsical and so over the top, and no way that can actually be real and done in nature, but yet they make it and it's crawling right
It's
towards
coming
your
at you.
ankles, So it's so weird. And all the monsters, the one where his head comes back up, and the spider one, and like with
Vance.
little Bigfoot,
Why don't you that whole thing, the chemistry, the dynamic between Adam and Ray and Decker in that one, when he just gets disgusted with them, like, don't you want to think of a better name than Little Bigfoot?
If you want to come up with a name, then you can come up with a name. I asked you, and you said no. I like Little Bigfoot.
He gets so disgusted. The humanity on display, the fact that they can't figure out what's in that back room.
No, the mystery involving Deckard himself
And his relationship with the Marrow.
Mm-hmm. Where is he feeding him? And none of these answers are ever explained. And that's what normally I'd be pissed off. Horse shit, right? But I like that fact. I like the fact that there's so much mystery that nothing is explained, yet everything you need to know is right there. He's right. The monsters are real.
And as he said, a lot of them, probably a majority of, like all of us,
Just want to be left the fuck alone.
we're good people.
Yeah.
But there's a few, the deviants,
Mm-hmm.
then the bad people, and that's when you
Dun
get
dun.
it's going to be constant. Just and at the end of every night, you're going to celebrate with a beer, a wine, a glass with a Raul Esperanza, a good time usually had.
To Benson.
Okay, I got to make sure I'm going through all of my notes here. We've got the ambiguity of the closet. I literally have on my notes Mick Garris's hair because, of course, the monsters themselves, again, a celebration, but also a cautionary tale.
Yeah.
It's can they exist? Why should they exist? What do we do if they exist? What would you do if you came across a monster in the Marrow?
Ooh.
Or from the Marrow, I should say.
Friendly or unfriendly?
What if it's what is it, Umbrella?
Umbrella?
Umbrella.
No, that's a deal breaker.
This is, I don't know if you all understand this. This is very rarely do we have things be a deal breaker for genius.
She's a monster with an umbrella head and is gonna take me and like seduce me and eat me. Now, like, if it was like I like you from VHS, okay, cool.
That's fair.
But like, no, because like I saw the sketches and she's all like, "Bleh." Looks like the creature from Room 247. Mary. And so like
I've been waiting all evening for that, I guarantee you.
she did. She like, so I was like, no, that's okay. But I don't know. We don't know. Like if they're friendly monsters, I would like to befriend a monster, kind of like Monster Squad, like a Frankenstein, like bogus, and just and like be cool with the monsters. I would be cool with the monsters.
I think ultimately that's the reason we seek out these films, because we want to kind of be cool with
Yeah,
the
we
monsters.
want to be cool with the monsters. Yeah. But this is a good movie to watch. But it said that Adam Green is really proud of this movie, even though it's hard for him to watch it. And I think he should be proud of this movie.
Absolutely. And the reason, again, if you want to know a little bit peek behind the curtain, this film opens up with Otis Orungus, a.k.a. Dave Brockie from Gwar, who was part of Holliston, the sitcom, which got picked up by Shudder.
Nice.
They're going to be showing so maybe,
nice.
just maybe, we might get a new season from Shudder. Thank you, Shudder. Again, I'd love the Shudder shout out. But Dave was a very close friend with Adam. And when Dave inevitably passed, it was maybe a week or two before the film itself debuted, and they had to start doing press for the film. And also, this is Adam's ex-wife is in this film now, and they separated, divorced before this film got started.
Yeah, this movie took like 5 years to make, and in that 5-year span, the death of one of his best friends and the hard divorce, plus like he has to go on press tour showing this movie with all his past friend and his ex-wife. That's got to be rough. So like I said, so my hat's off literally to him going through all that, because that's the other thing, and we'll get eventually to why we, and I think all of us, love them so much, is they're very open to their fans, to the people that appreciate them, and that openness allows a lot of vulnerability that goes on, and that's ultimately the film. It becomes technically a very personal tale. As much as Victor Crowley, the film, is very personal, again, kind of almost maybe even a reaction to this film, for the most part, in terms of the growth from 2014 to 2018, when that came out. So I'm just, ultimately I'm just glad Adam is still here with us, absolutely,
and streaming and doing so many wonderful things for the genre family.
Good stuff. continuously still putting out good stuff, and like doing great things, like the marathon that they just did, and
the
all these other
all
things. So,
yeah.
but yeah, he should totally be proud of this movie because this movie is a wonderful. There's some horror mockumentaries, but not one that like is such a fun ride. I wouldn't call Poughkeepsie Tapes fun. You know what I'm saying?
Not at all.
Funny, but not fun. But like this one, you can enjoy it, and it's PG-13, so you can show normies. There's no death, there's no sex, there's some curse words, but fuck it.
We're in the U.S., man. Come on now.
So like, I think this is a great like introduction to Adam Green's world.
Yeah, especially if you say Adam Green, 9 out of 10 people are going to go Victor Crowley or Hatchet.
Mm-hmm.
So it is that kind of offshoot, which is always nice. And the fact that he's got such a breadth of work that you can have something kind of diverse, from the stuff you're known for, just speaks to his strength as a filmmaker.
Absolutely.
Again.
Absolutely.
So yeah, definitely seek out Digging Up the Marrow. And going from a mockumentary to a film that...
Scarily prescient.
Oh, Lord. There were some scenes in our second movie that had me like going, ah! And it was nothing horrific, just people touching things.
Right.
Touching their faces and what have you. Joe Lynch's Mayhem, which another one that I've had a really interesting relationship with in terms of my kind of viewings of the films. Where was the first time you watched this one?
Here in Screenland Armor at the premiere. Yep. It was amazing. So much fun.
So my relationship with this movie, ultimately, first time I saw it was at Screenland Tapcade in the theater. Not that many people there for that one, though. So I didn't have that full experience. Comes out on Blu-ray. I pick it up because, I love our boy. Watch it at my own home. Had a great time. Introduced, I believe, you two at that one time.
Mm-hmm.
Had the chance to kind of see it in the theater, at home, Tapcade to Armor. At Armor, with Joe Lynch present.
It was wild. It was so wild.
It was incredible, amazing. The communal experience. It was everything it needed to be. But this is a film ultimately about a virus, highly contagious, that if you catch it, you have to be quarantined.
I personally would much rather be quarantined with the ID7 than the Corona, because I'm not saying that I'm a lot of it already, but could you imagine if I caught the ID7? Just I totally would be like that one Easter egg in that movie, like, fuck you, you're cool, fuck you, I'm out. I laughed so hard at that.
Like we say, when you throw an Easter egg out, if it's really good, the people that know nothing of the movie you're referencing aren't going to miss a thing. But those of us that know, it's so sweet.
Oh, yeah.
This is a very largely personal film for Joe Lynch, because this is a movie all about kind of the stifling of creativity, of where do you find time for your true love or art when you're constantly in a 9-to-5 corporate world where you're
selling your soul on a daily basis.
Yes. And that's what I like about the film, is it does address that ultimately. And, do you sell yourself out for the bigger house, the more money and so forth? Do you sell your soul, or do you have a chance for 8 hours to purge yourself of all these nasty thoughts, make your way up to the top of the building, a la just an amazing video game,
all the while having Samara Weaving as your helper? That's sold.
Ray Wise is the reason to watch, not the main reason to watch, but is a great reason to watch Digging Up the Marrow.
Absolutely, the crown jewel of it. But in this movie, Samara Weaving steals the goddamn movie. Every scene she's in, your eye is transfixed to her. Every little laugh, giggle, smirk, snort, one-liner, everything she does is just wonderful. Is she like you? What did you call her, Poochie?
Oh yeah, she literally. You talk about when they're in Digging at the Marrow, and they're like, there he is, and we're looking. Every time she's on screen, I'm transfixed to her. Every background thing she did, whether it was the laugh, the throwing of the horns, she was the negative space. I could not stop looking. She is the Poochie. Everyone should be asking, what is Samara Weaving doing? It's her. It was transformative for me, and not even on a creepy level, because she is very, very attractive.
She's a treat.
But she's got something in terms of the charisma.
Yeah, I mean...
That you could... you actually mentioned she's
She's like Margot Robbie's like younger genre cool sister.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
And like she totally could do it. She totally could be Margot Robbie's little younger genre cool sister. Like the one that like is into metal and into horror and into like all the cool shit and like, yeah.
Early Anthrax, my friend. That is what it was all about there.
And she cusses like a sailor. It's wonderful. These shoes are comfy as fuck. But when he goes off in that dude and he's out wailing on her and she goes, damn, dude, did he fuck your girl too? That's the first time I caught that line, and it gave me the biggest tickle. I was like, oh, Samara, you're wonderful.
Samara is paired up with Stephen Young from Walking Dead, who you can check out the recaps over at Media Rewind.
Right answer.
And this was his kind of chance to step away from The Walking Dead and, make a movie.
Go on full on something totally different because he just plays it so great in this movie. And he's a great actor. Have you ever seen Burning?
I have not.
It is a hardcore class drama, but he does so well in that as possibly the villain.
Some ambiguity there. Excellent.
So it's really well done. But he's a great actor, and he shines in this.
And again, if you have characters that you actually care about in your genre film, it goes a long way in making us care for them. And then when they're going through these crazy
video game levels,
it's unreal. A lot of people say this movie is similar to The Raid, similar to Dread, and that's kind of for structure, just in general.
Yeah.
But you have a lot of films where people are locked in an area, and how do they react? And then you add the little wrinkle of this, and it's not the rage virus. It's just you just become uninhibited.
Right. All your barriers go down, and you're just nothing but pure emotions.
And that's what I like about the film is I think the automatic genre thing is that it's all violence, but it's not.
No.
There's some hanky-panky going on when people are releasing in their head.
Unscripted sex scenes. So like,
but not unsimulated real sex.
And this is an HBO real sex. It's not like a bunch of it's not like
Old
this
naked
commune of
swingers.
old naked swingers. Right, correct. It's like just two people going at it, and the fact that they didn't know. Like if you watch the scene again, like when Stephen Young is like telling the board of directors and he turns around and the people are having sex, he turns back and he's laughing because that was real. That was like, he goes, holy shit, they're fucking, right? And even like Joe Lynch is like, let him go. Let him go.
And we know this because we had a chance, when again, we mentioned seeing this at Panic Fest with Joe Lynch in the audience, and we had a chance to host the Q&A. And that, let me just, Adam, everyone here at Screenland,
Thank you.
That was literally a bucket item list there for both of us.
That was awesome.
But he gave a lot of insight to it because this film was shot in Serbia.
It's a Serbian film.
A lot of the cast on the movie casted and recruited on a Serbian film. Or in that case...
Film. And he goes, well, what was it like? And they're like, we don't talk about that movie.
We don't talk about the film.
When a movie set has scarred you so much that you don't even want to talk about it.
The best part, though, is when they go, do you want to see Baby? And I will say this, jumping on the Movie Crypt bandwagon, I'm one of their Patreons, so I've been supporting them from day one. And one of the perks for my level is the commentary tracks. They did a commentary track for a Serbian film. And I don't know if this was part of a bit, but Adam was sick throughout. And at a scene, he starts vomiting. I don't know if it's real or not, but what's even better is in the background, Arwen had a little squeaky toy that she had been humping periodically through the movie. And her humping hit a heightened pitch. By the time Adam is puking, this scene is going on in the background and Joe Lynch is narrating it. And I don't know if it was a bit, but I have never laughed that loud. I have never snorted that loud. All the while knowing what's going on with the film.
Shit.
Thank you guys. That was a much needed laugh for that.
That's one of those commentaries where you want to listen to it, but not necessarily participate and join the.
No.
No, shit.
Speaking of Joe Lynch and Mayhem, he has a wonderful game. That's what I love about our double feature here, is that both technically directors are in their movies.
Yeah, that's true. That is very true.
And that
porn stash?
I listened to the commentary track. He called it a poon broom. Not my words. That's coming from Mr. Lynch or someone.
That's what it looks like. It looks like you fucking stole that from fucking John Holmes and just take that ridiculous thing off.
Well, the fact that he plays that IT guy the poor lone IT guy, kind of the move kind of IT guy, the belabored IT guy, but he's also the key of advancing the plot. So ultimately what happens, Stephen Young is fired. He has the virus comes in. There's a quarantine for it, but there is a vaccine, and it takes like 8 hours to go off. But the whole thing is he's part of a law firm, and they established a precedent that while you're on
whatever
the
you
97,
do, it's legal. So it's basically an 8-hour purge. It's a
It
mini
is.
quarantine purge.
It is. That's what's the interesting fact. So he realizes if he can make his way to his bosses, renegotiate potentially, it's all good. And that drives the narrative to getting him. And then the fact that Samara Weaving and them, they've been evicted, and they can make it not happen, And so there's such great driving force. In
And
all of them.
Samara Weaving is ready to fuck shit up. And the fact that the whole Dave Matthews thing is improvised too was so much wonderful. Because I'm sitting there and like just laughing. And then after the sex scene, you just hear dun, 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 dun. I'm just like, glorious.
I'll even say, going with the soundtrack, the fact that we get a Faith No More track, which Joe Lynch
During
directed.
an awesome battle scene.
Wonderful.
Give Joe Lynch an apocalyptic movie now, because his like warrior gang with the office supplies was glorious.
Did
He
you
could totally do an apocalypse movie.
Did you notice the Post-it lady in the background?
Just posting it on her. That's the fun thing about this movie, just looking at everything and all the chaos that's going on
So
behind
much
you.
chaos. Also, another little Easter egg, Joe Lynch is famous for putting Wicket the Ewok somewhere in his films.
And somebody got the right answer.
Yes,
at
they
the,
did.
at the screening.
Going from the soundtrack to the score, one of my favorite modern composers, Steve Moore, coming up with an amazing synth score in this, which just adds to that driving feel, which is another reason why this movie, again, in terms of ranking kind of our Joe Lynch films, Mayhem is probably top 3 for me.
Oh, definitely for me too. Everly's my favorite, but this is definitely part number 2. Then they have the Buddy Revell.
The Bull, which I had the opportunity. The first thing out of my mouth with Joe is like, okay, obviously a little Buddy Revell in there, but my favorite part is that little bit when he's got the gun, empties the clip, and he has a little mad dog from the raid.
Yeah, he does.
Which again, that totally it's all about
this,
right? Oh, so good. All about the brass knuckles. Also, the little thing with the
mace.
Oh.
When he sprays that and like, and then like, I felt it. I was like, my mouth is burning. My mouth is burning. But I love this movie, but I think it also kind of what happened to this movie happens to a lot of movies where it's the volcano and Dante's Peak thing going on, because when this movie came out, the Bilko Experiment came out at the exact same time,
and it's really funny because they're totally different films, and that's actually why I threw that as part of the trailer reel there, because it makes that obvious connection, but they're not really.
No.
Bilko Experiment is
mean. It's way meaner. This is mirthful and fun.
Mayhem is fun.
It's mean too. I mean, there's violence and gore and all this shit, but it's fun gore. It's fun and silly and you like the characters. I didn't like anybody in Belko. No. I wanted them all to die.
And they have some of my favorite character actors in the film, and and it's got a good pedigree. It's got James Gunn. That's why I'll go with Mayhem over the Belko Experiment, because I like fun over mean. I like the gore and the guts. But I like when there's mirth behind it. Yeah. When there's a little bit of the levity that happens with it.
And you can't have a Joe Lynch movie without some fun.
No. He's
a funny dude.
Yeah.
He's a really genuine dude too. And so no matter how violent, fucking Wrong Turn 2, there's some hilarious ass shit in that movie. Even though when these mutated hillbillies are fucking people up, there's still some like guffaws.
And the hillbillies themselves effing each other.
Yeah.
There's a very sick, twisted sense of humor with the Joe Lynch film, which is why we
like
him so much.
Nerds and nostalgia and nightmare, Junkhead approved.
Absolutely. I will always go to bat for him. Now, one of my favorite little bits is at the very end with the final boss, literally his boss, the final one, his power-up Coke move he does. When he does a little dab of Coke, so funny.
And then he does that old WWF thing where he throws the Coke in the face. And
like the Great Muda or something. Oh my God, it's so silly and absurd. And ultimately you get like the row of bosses when they're like, and they all get, So good. So good. And it gives that moment where ultimately he could sell out and become, part of the problem, or as we find out,
he does the right thing.
Yep. And now he's going back to his art
And painting and hanging out with Samara Weaving. That's a good trade. That's Keep your soul and hang out with Samara. That's the right path.
Absolutely. So final thoughts on Mayhem before we talk a little bit more about both of their work.
See this. Well, you already saw this.
You already saw it.
Tell us what you think. Tell us what you think. Write us in the comments below or whatever.
Absolutely.
If you like this movie or if you didn't, or what other ones
great,
that you might recommend that might go pairing with these movies.
And what's really good is on Shudder right now is there's actually an exclusive commentary with both Stephen Young and Joe Lynch. It's rad.
That's cool.
It's fantastic.
That's super cool.
And the fact they did it in Arescope, which leads me to let's talk a little bit about our favorite stuff beyond Digging Up the Marrow and Mayhem with Adam Green and Joe Lynch, starting with Arescope, which is the production company that Adam Green put together with Will Barrett and Sarah. Oh God, Sarah, I'm so sorry. I'm killing on your last name. My apologies. Sarah Elbert. Damn it. Anyway, Sarah, I love you. But that is where we get 20 years worth of their horror shorts. Every year, without fail, they put together a horror short that they put on Arescope, and this has provided Jack Chop.
Jack Chop is glorious.
And that
you want to fucking cut this pumpkin? No fucking problem. Jack Chop it.
And apparently that was one that they threw together at the last minute. They've put some really detailed, complicated ones together, but that's the one people ultimately go to.
I like that one, and I like the Michael Myers driving test with Joel David Moore doing his best like Jerry Lewis.
Inevitably, if we ever show Halloween or anything Halloween related, that's usually in our pre-show. I won't lie. And Kane Hodder
did it
adding as Michael Myers. So he has portrayed Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees,
Freddy's hand.
Yep. So he's almost got all of them on there.
Yeah.
Also, one of my favorite things is obviously Panic Film Festival here. We love it. The Fright Fest over in London, a huge horror festival. They put together these. Have you seen some of the shorts?
I have. Where
the
they
Road to
do
Fright
the
Fest?
road to where they let the midnight special, and then like you want to see something really scary, and Joe Lynch turns into Danielle Harris. If you turn into Danielle Harris, dude, not a deal breaker. I'm just saying. You want to see something really scary?
And what I love is the fact that they always, and it's their little Twilight Zone thing that they're doing with Dan Aykroyd and Albert Brooks. And he always does a, and then you get the reveal. And they progressed over time where they had the Midnight Special one with Twilight Zone, the movie. They did a Blair Witch one. They did an American Werewolf in London where they're walking
in around, yeah.
A label they get hit with is fan turned filmmaker, which I know they have issues with, and I can understand because their argument is, well, if you're a filmmaker, aren't you a fan, right? But I think it's because they're fans like we're all fans.
Yeah.
They are next level fans. They are the ones that know
the minute details, the backstories, the monsters, the everything.
All the stuff that we love. But they just happen to be very talented.
Yep.
Very hardworking. And that is where they are now. But to me, that is almost like a badge of honor. The fact that they're just so legit and genuine. And let me just say this.
By fans, for fans.
Yes. Like the Bufu, so to speak.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
No, wait. Bufu was by
Fubu.
us. Fuck you. I'm going how high on that one. Sorry. Random reference on that.
Yeah.
But
fucking how high? Next year's Monday Mystery Movie Night.
If anyone knows me, they know I am a podcast listener. Genius, not so much. But I've got a weekly rotation. And on Mondays, inevitably after work, while I'm walking Lola, I'm listening to the Movie Crypt. It has been part of my life, and I know that sounds weird, but again, I am a socially awkward introvert, so I can honestly say I feel like I have relationships with some of these podcasts because, especially the ones like the Movie Crypt that are so honest and open and vulnerable, and that makes you just feel like you have not a relationship, but you feel like you're part of their lives.
You know where they're coming from.
Yes, yeah. Absolutely. And the fact that over a period of time, Adam Green was able to talk about his going through his eventual divorce, because if you listen to a lot of their early shows, it's him talking about him and his wife and what they used to do. And he had to eventually talk about it and address it. And I mention this because, again, if anyone knows the show knows I also went through some stuff. And it was through that I came out and talked about it. And it wasn't even so much of me going through a divorce, but it was dealing with my depression, you know, and the fact that I felt comfortable talking about that and addressing it in kind of that format because of what Adam was able to do through the Movie Crypt. And I felt so indebted to him because it made me address it and it made me accountable for it. And had he not done something like that, I don't know if I'd still probably be in denial right now. So like I said, the laughs that I got through the show, all that means a lot, but the fact that he shared that and was able to hopefully heal with everyone that came out for him for that, you know, ultimately it's little things like that that really make me appreciate what they've done.
It's one thing when you can watch a movie, but it's another thing where you can like live a movie, you know?
Yeah.
So
like
or at least live a filmmaker, what they're trying to go for.
And quite honestly, the stuff they've shared with, and again, if you don't listen to Movie Crypt, you should. It's one of the best podcasts out there. If you're a Patreon, you get such wonderful content. It is unreal. It's the reason I've been doing it for so long. But they're candid, because the podcast itself was only supposed to last for 10 episodes, and it was only supposed to be a kind of an advertising tool for Holliston. And it became what it is today.
Wow.
Yeah. And it is just walking them, you know, I've walked so many miles with Lola with them at my side. Like I said, and when the best part, I listen to them, I watch their movies, they show up, they're amazing.
Yeah, they're fucking awesome. They're the coolest fucking cats.
If we had what we wanted here, it would be a big old thing of wax, because we're doing a lot of waxing the car right now, ultimately. But through the fact that they've, you know, visited here through when Adam did
multiple times
the Victor Crowley tour, that was a bucket list item.
Yeah, that was amazing. That was so good.
That was amazing. The fact that Adam Green was able to put together Victor Crowley, the 4th film in the Hatchet franchise,
as a secret,
unleashed it on an unexpected crowd that was there for, like, I think it was a 10-year anniversary of a Hatchet screening. And he's like, oh, by the way, here's Victor Crowley. Unfreaking real. And then he took it around the country, played it here at Screenland, did a Q&A afterwards, met with every single person because...
until the last person left. I mean, like...
he's genuine and good, man. Like, this... Adam and Joe are just wonderful people. But that moment, seeing Victor Crowley with a crowd, again... the communal experience with all the stuff that we're talking about, and we're totally not looking at each other at the same time. Sorry, guys. I know people are going, what is wrong with you? Look at each other. But it makes a difference. You know, seeing it at home is one thing. Seeing it with your buddies is another. But when you get to see it with a crowd, with a genre crowd.
Especially after now. I mean, especially like
when we come back.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
They're going to be wonderful. But the Victor Crowley tour was fantastic, seeing that one. Other kind of favorite things that they've done for you? I
have told you this before. I love Everly. It is on my Christmas rotation. It is an amazing, hilarious, violent, wonderful movie. I mean,
everything a Joe Lynch movie should be.
And it's Christmas. It's good. It's totally a Christmas movie. And you're just like, Salma Hayek is kicking so much ass. How can you not love this movie?
And we had
a fucking sigh.
We had a chance to screen this as part of our Christmas with the Nerds triple feature. We did this 3 years ago, I believe. 2 or 3 years. It's been a while. It has been a while.
It has been.
But this is one ultimately, if you're gathering with your family and friends during Christmas and they're like, let's watch a cool Christmas movie, right? Don't throw out Die Hard.
No, put in Everly.
Kick out Lethal Weapon.
Yeah, put in Everly. You're going to get everything that you want from those two movies. You're going to get a crazy action, Christmas setting. It's funny. It's extremely funny. And some of the characters and violent set pieces in this are wonderful.
You get the sadist and the masochist.
And his 4 goons, the 4 demons.
Yes.
Oh, those were cool as shit.
It's a visually lush film. It's very much a bottle kind of. It's all in one apartment. Salma is fantastic in it. And if you ever get to meet Joe Lynch in person, ask him to do his Salma Hayek impression.
It's great. It is hilarious.
It's about as good as his Abel Ferrara.
Balls. Lots of balls.
Another thing tied to the Movie Crypt, their 48-hour Yorkie-thon marathon that they put on 4 years, excuse me. They stay up 48 hours straight, and they raise money.
Coming soon, a 48-hour Nerds Nightmare Junkhead marathon. Live.
I can't stay up 12 hours at this point. Are you kidding?
We're
My
lucky if our
God.
episodes make 48 minutes, let alone
48
48
hours.
hours.
They put together amazing guests. They do live commentary tracks. It's where Felissa Rose, one of their live they do a live script reading, and they did the unpublished Goonies script, and they had Felissa Rose playing Mama Fratelli. And that's where this came from, translated into Abel Ferrara. But it's little things like that. The fact that they have raised so much money for Yorkies to keep them alive for this Yorkie rescue out of New Hampshire, I believe. The fact that the Movie Crypt Patreon has cultivated an amazing film family here in Kansas City. The fact that I was kind of engaged. I engaged with Patty Murphy through Movie Crypt.
Mm-hmm.
Like, all of those things wouldn't have happened without Movie Crypt. Like, Adam and Joe, thank you so much.
They
Seriously.
are good conduits for horror and the horror fans.
Yes.
Because they're so approachable.
Well,
they're horror fans, and they make great horror stuff.
They do. It's unreal.
And non-horror, too.
Holliston. I know the laugh track throws you off.
It does.
It does.
It does.
It's something you have to kind of get used to. But if you ever wanted to see a sitcom with all of us as the main characters, Holliston is your jam, and you can see it on Shudder now, which is incredible.
The one thing I do remember about Holliston that cracks me up is when he was talking, Kane Hodder's talking about how he had a threesome at a convention with him, Danielle Harris, and Angus Scrim or something like that.
Yep.
And it's just like,
boy. You get Kane Hodder, Tony Todd, Danielle Harris. So many of your favorite horror icons show up on this sitcom. It's fan-freaking-tastic. I am a huge fan. Physical Media also, they do great commentary tracks for everything. All the extras they pour into all their films, I appreciate. It's like little things like that they know. They get it.
oh, yeah.
They get it.
And I love the Hatchet series.
Go Nightmare Junket eventually in the month of May. We will be doing a Hatchet 2 episode.
Chicken and a biscuit with the gravy and the chicken. Love that movie.
48 minutes of all that.
Yeah.
Wrong Turn 2. Joe Lynch's debut.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of fun. I'm not going to say it should come with another time.
Another place.
Warning, but it's got some nasty stuff going on there.
It's mean. It's a mean, fun movie.
No, it's totally fun, but it's kind of his splatterhouse film, his splatterpunk film, because it goes places.
Lots of uncomfortable places.
Henry Rollins is in it, who married Joe Lynch and his bride, Bree.
Oh.
Yes. Again, all the little things that happen. It's so friggin' cool. Other favorites of Joe and Adam.
I like the whole, like I said, the whole Hatchet series for Adam. I love it. Frozen was a great watch to see people really freak out in the theater with them.
Thank you, Adam.
That was amazing to hear people get during the degloving scene, and when people were like, when she had the fade, people you hear people like, no, don't, no. That was glorious. When it comes to Joe Lynch, I know it's probably a sore spot, but I really do enjoy Nights of Badassdom.
Good. You should enjoy Nights of Badassdom. Everyone out there, you should enjoy Nights of Badassdom. One of my, again, in terms of how they take the
peek behind the curtain.
Yes, thank you. Good Lord. Is they had Don Coscarelli on the Movie Crypt podcast. Now, Don Coscarelli, Phantasm.
Boy!
So many of your favorite films, including one of my all-time favorites, The Beastmaster.
Mm-hmm.
You enjoy that one?
Oh, absolutely fucking dar.
TBS, The Beastmaster
Oh, the
Station.
Beastmaster Station. Yeah.
HBO. Hey, Beastmaster's on, right? All the time. So they have him on. They start talking Beastmaster. And Joe and Adam are like, oh, we love the Beastmaster. And you could see, apparently he winced a little. And they're like, wait, what's going on? He's like, it's not my cut of the film. And they were taken aback because like, but we love it. And he's like, I'm glad you love it, but it's not the film I wanted to put out. I wanted a kind of a different tone. I'm like, oh, and I mentioned that because Joe Lynch had the same issue with Nights of Badassdom. Apparently, and there's information out there, the cut of the film that's out there is not his. There was a pyramid scheme going on with the producers. There was a lot of shady stuff going on. So ultimately, he was really upset by it. But then people started enjoying the movie. People were coming up going, dude, Nights of Badassdom, love it.
Badass.
And he was like, and immediately his whole thing was like, I wanted to tell them it's not my movie. But then Don Coscarelli told him that Beastmaster story, and they're like, but I love Beastmaster. And it gave him so much perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that it went from Coscarelli to Lynch to have that moment. And they had a shared moment like that. But to have that kind of a healing thing with a film that he grew up on and having the chance to go, wait, why are you wincing? You know, I love the Beastmaster.
Right.
So I love that connection and the fact that we prefaced that whole thing with Knights of Badass and we know the issue, but love the movie.
I think the movie is great. I saw that movie at Tap K and I loved every second of it.
Biggity bam.
Yeah.
Biggity. And it kind of heavy metal horror in many ways.
Mm-hmm. And it's got Tyrion Lannister fucking up like succubuses and demons. How can you not love that?
You gotta love that. You gotta love that. But there's so much to love with Adam and Joe and all the work they've done and will continue to do. So again, thank you so much for that. So we're gonna close things out with a bit that we know wasn't funny 20 years ago when people were doing it.
You guys ready to get classy?
And we know it's not funny now, but tradition is tradition. FMK, in this case, the Movie Crypt edition. Up on the slab, we have Victor Crowley, the movie,
Mm-hmm.
the aforementioned Knights of Badassdom, and Chillerama. Which, again, there's a story behind that film. So, FMK, do you want to start, Genius, or shall I?
Go for it.
Okay. Ultimately, I'm going to side with Joe on a lot of things when it comes down to it. So, as much joy as people have with Knights of Badassdom, I'm going to go ahead and kill it. And it's going to be a sacrificial killing in the name of Joe. Again, apologies to anyone out there that enjoy it. But Knights of Badassdom, you're getting whammied. Now, this is where it gets weird. You could... Yeah, I know, and you're probably now thinking about that moment, and that moment is the reason I'm going to F and get freaky and fornicate with Victor Crowley.
I knew it. I did as soon as you said.
Now, are we talking?
The telephone
Oh no,
gang?
is that
That's
the
what I'm
reason?
thinking.
Well, and listen, I'm not going to say I'm limber or flexible, but if I'm going to get freaky, I'm going to get freaky.
You're going to get freaky.
Capital F, capital PH, I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a scene in Victor Crowley where Felissa Rose is dispatched, and I swear it will never
Sleepaway camp.
keep you from your cell phone again. And I'm not going to say that's going to be the crowning move when I'm getting freaky,
But that's the finisher.
but I'm going to be able to give a nasty selfie in chronicling what I'm doing.
An inside reach around.
Oh, foul. But that's why I'm getting freaky. I'm going to marry Chillerama. Now, I know a lot, again, a weird history with that film, but I love anthologies.
I love anthologies.
We love anthologies. Yep. Variety is the spice of life, and variety and a little bit of variance is the key to a marriage. So for me, a good anthology gives me that kind of variance and that variety. That is why I will marry Chillerama.
Very nice.
I thought varied
nice.
a little bit.
Very nice. Okay, so first off, I'm going to kill Victor Crowley. As much as it pains me to say, I'm going to kill off because daddy, right? And that can only go so much. I mean, that's the crown. That's the finisher, but then there's nowhere to go after that.
You're not running a sprint. You're running a marathon.
Right, I'm thinking long game. Okay. So I'm going to marry Knights of Badassdom because think about it. We can go to Ren fairs together, do all sorts of fun LARPing activities.
That's fair.
You know, and just like every day's a mythic quest. Plus you have Tyrion, Steve Zahn, Summer Glau.
All your genre favorites.
Yeah, and just and a succubus. Shenanigans abound. That's the key to a long-lasting marriage is like shenanigans and LARPing.
See, shenanigans for you, laughter for me usually.
Well, usually those go hand in hand, though. Like, usually I'm laughing during the shenanigans.
This is true, especially the right kind of shenanigans.
Yeah.
If you're crying through your shenanigans, we've got issues,
Doing it
ladies
wrong.
and
gentlemen. But, like, and so I'm going to get freaky as fuck with Chillerama. Think about it.
Oh, goodness.
Everything in that movie revolved around, like, diddlies, like some sort of diddly. Like there was the giant Wadzilla, 50-foot sperm and squiddly diddly. There was the werebears. There was like what else was there? There was except for the Diary of Anne Frankenstein, that wasn't very squiddly diddly. But Joel David Moore is hilarious.
He is quite funny.
He was a great Hitler, dude. He was a great Hitler.
Anything out of context, lady, don't take it.
He's funny. He's comical Hitler. And then the whole zombie movie
Yep.
where it's just a bunch of zombies just fucking each other in all different ways. Ooey gooey gnarliness. Come on, man. I'd be king of the zombies there. Just like, don't dream it. You know, and like it would be awesome.
Just steer clear of his bucket of popcorn if it's on his lap.
Gross.
Very gross.
Yeah, no, that's a gross ass movie.
It
But
really
like,
is.
if I'm gonna get freaky with something,
That
I'm
totally
gonna get
makes
freaky
sense.
and gross.
Well, let us know what your FM cane over in the chat room. And remember, this is inadmissible for about 5 years, so be careful.
Right.
You don't want to end up on any list. But thank you for coming out here, again, being a member of the Screenland Film family. Thank you to Adam Green and Joe Lynch for not only the films, but everything else that you guys have done.
Absolutely.
For, all of us.
Come back to Kansas City.
Oh,
We miss you.
yeah, Panic Fest. There's a patty-shaped hole and there's a movie shaped hole in our lives. And again, thank you all for doing this. So until the next time here at the Shutter Shoutout Double Feature, this is Greg D.
I'm Genius McGee.
And we'll see you in your dreams.